Aloha, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. Let's have a discussion. Today, we're going to discuss Sabby Sabbs. Stephen A. Smith considers presidential run. So basically, the oligarchy's just expanding, guys. Yay! So let's see. Sabby Sabbs.
So, the Democratic Party is in shambles. And when you look at their bench, they don't have many people on the bench that can help turn that party around. They just don't. Some people have been mentioning Jon Stewart. I'm just like, another celebrity, like
right.
That type of thing. But now people are also mentioning Stephen A. Smith. Now, some of you may not be familiar with Stephen A. Smith. I am. If you watch sports like I do, you are familiar with Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith is the reason I stopped watching SportsCenter. I stopped watching SportsCenter or all of ESPN, probably about 20 years ago. Just yelling into the camera, always mad. He was like, to me, he acted like that angry black man, and he played the part. And to me, it was dangerous to other black people. Like, we don't want you out there perpetuating that stereotype that black people are just angry and loud and mad. Like, that could get people hurt, Stephen A. So you need to calm down a little bit.
I have watched him for years, cover sports on ESPN. So I know the sports Stephen A. Smith. But over the past year or so, Stephen A. Smith has decided to get involved in political discussions. And one of the things that he's been very vocal.
One thing that he's always said, even like, I didn't like him back in the day because I knew he was not that I don't like conservatives, but when you're rich like that and you say you're socially progressive but fiscally conservative, you're full of shit. That doesn't mean anything, because if you're socially progressive or whatever, you have to use taxes to get things done. So you want your taxes to be used correctly if you're socially progressive, but if you're fiscally conservative, then it doesn't matter what issues or policies you have, nothing can get done because we don't have any money to do it.
About is that the Democratic Party needs to do something. They need to step up, or they're going to lose. He was very clear about that. Very clear about that early on, even before Kamala entered the race. And even after Kamala entered the race, he still said the Democratic Party is in trouble. Now, he eventually went on to vote for Kamala Harris. But after Kamala lost, Stephen A. Smith has been doing like this podcast tour. He's gone onto The View. He's been on PBD podcast. He's been on Bill Maher's show multiple times, basically venting a lot about the two-party system, and in particular the Democratic Party, and how they are losing people and they need to make some changes. Well, apparently a poll went out, and that poll is asking who should run in 2028. And believe it or not, one of the people that was mentioned was Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith has some words for the Democratic Party again in this segment here titled Maybe I Should Run. Let's go ahead and get into this.
What you have to do if you're the Democratic Party is be center thinking, as in center left. Prioritize the economy.
They are center thinking, but they're more center right.
Prioritize national security. Prioritize foreign relations. And forget all that other stuff.
But what does prioritize mean? What are you going to do when you prioritize it?
We got battles in this country that we have to fight. Why am I giving this advice? Because some of y'all have walked around trying to castigate people like me.
Yelling at everybody. I can't stand how he yells, man. Like, I started watching. I was real happy. They started putting basketball and sports highlights on YouTube, and they got YouTube sports commentators now. Like, you got me commentating on politics. So, man, it made me so happy when I didn't have to hear this guy's voice yelling at me every day. And now whenever I hear him on a YouTube channel, I just hit dislike and turn it off. I can't stand this guy's voice yelling at people. Like, why are you yelling? And why are you yelling like that? It's just crazy.
Because some of y'all have walked around trying to castigate people like me. Now let me remind you of who the hell I am. Okay? I am a registered independent. Put that damn thing up on that screen, Griff, for me, please. Reminding these people who the hell I am. Republican, Democrat. I don't like none of your asses. I'm talking about as a party, not as individuals. I don't like nary one of y'all. This two-party binary system sucks. It has contaminated our society in the United States of America. It has gotten our eyes off the ball. You know why? Because you have to agree with everything. Think about that for a second. Whatever workplace you are, whatever family you have, whatever boys or ladies you hang out with each other, y'all agree on everything? Everything. 100% aligned, and you're thinking about everything. Of course you're not.
We'll pause here for a second. I want to interject. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith is an independent, but obviously he aligns more with the Democratic Party. Skylar says, is Stephen talking all of this on his ESPN show or his own thing? This is his podcast, but he's gone on to several other shows like The View and Bill Maher, etc., to talk about this. And I agree with him that both of those parties are just, you got to move in a different direction. Yes. And both of those parties are problematic. I agree with him about that. Some people don't like the fact that Stephen A. Smith yells a lot. I have a couple friends of mine that are also into sports, and they're like, I can't watch that guy because he yells too much. So I've heard that as well. But some people look at Stephen A. Smith and they say, he could be the Democratic Party's Donald Trump, like that his voice. And
like what would he do in a negotiation room with like Putin or anybody, somebody from Europe, somebody that's even a friend? He's just sitting there yelling at him and all, like, dude, I don't even think he's a good communicator. I think ESPN kept him on because he played that role. He's like, to me, he's like the original Stephen from Django. Like oh my God, it's so crazy.
And his presence, because of the way that he presents himself, they think that maybe he could be that answer. Let's go on a little bit more.
Trump.
But our system of government will have you thinking you have to be. All the Republicans vote with one another. All the Democrats vote with one another. Nobody has to do any freaking work. You don't even have to read the policies. All you have to do is ask your sister, how did the Republicans vote? Vote the opposite. How did the Democrats vote? Vote the opposite. That's all you have to do. That's why you got folks in the 80s still in office. And I'm not engaging in ageism here. I'm just speaking real. The hell you doing on Capitol Hill? You really think I believe you reading 400 or 500 pages of legislation? You think I believe you putting in that work? But you vote anyway, because you don't have to do any work. All you have to do is take the side that you're on and vote against the other side. That ain't serving our country. That's why the country pissed off. That's why they put somebody like Trump in office, because they sick and tired of the cesspool that is our nation's capital. And if you're the Democrats, you've got an opportunity to say that although Trump is different and he's apolitical, the dominance with which he's governing over his first 2 weeks on the job is antithetical and very detrimental to us as a nation. You can say that. And as a result, return to some level of normalcy. But what is that? You're the Democratic Party. Where's your voice? Who's your voice? Me calling you out about it has you thinking or has you acting like I'm the enemy. I'm trying to help.
And this is the question that a lot of people ask. FM said, why is he yelling? Right. A lot of people ask this question. He talks like this on ESPN too. Yeah, and I think that's something that may turn some people off, because some people don't want you to yell at them. Some people are just like, okay, tone it down. Like, you don't need to do all that, right? But some of the things that he's saying, I agree with. Like, I do think there should be term limits in Congress. I've told you guys this multiple times. I do think that obviously both of these parties, Trump kind of came in and changed the Republican Party, whereas no one did that on the Democrat side. No one came in and said, boom, we're getting. And by the way, Dean Phillips recently was on CNN, and Dean Phillips made a statement that when it comes to the Democratic Party and leadership, we don't want an AOC or the squad. So Dean Phillips is letting everybody know that the party is.
I tried to look that up. I'm not exactly sure where she saw that, but if you can find that, leave it in the comments below. I'd like to put that on one of the videos. But if the Democrats are really saying we don't want leadership like AOC, and then we have to lead that party. They're not going to do anything for us. They're not about us.
Want an AOC or the squad.
AOC or the squad, yeah.
So Dean Phillips is letting everybody know that the party is not moving in that direction, which is why I say that those people should be part of a separate party.
Yes, I agree.
Because they're not going to move with you, right? But some people think that Stephen A. Smith may be the answer. We're going a little bit more here, and I want to tell you what he says about that poll.
I don't want to see you get your ass kicked in another election. I don't want to see you lose in the midterms. I don't want to see you lose 4 years from now in advance with J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or somebody being the next president of the United States just because they're opposite you. I want the best candidate for the country to win.
That would be the Green Party candidate.
That can't happen if you have no voice and you have no face for your party.
Okay, so again, that was him, and that's recent, by the way. That was him recently complaining again about the Democratic Party, and now he is responding to that poll result and how he feels about possibly running for president. And wait till I tell you what he says his conditions are.
But never in my
he got conditions to run for president.
Did I believe that that would translate into me being polled as a presidential candidate for the United States.
Stephen A. has 2 gears, either yelling or sleeping. That's why I chuckled if you're not looking at the screen.
Of America. Now I must tell you, there's quite a few things in life that could have easily shocked me, but it's never had. It's never done that. This is a shock. I know y'all see me Fox News one day, CNN the next, MSNBC the next, News Nation the next. You hear me on podcasts, Dave Rubin. You hear me on a radio show like Mark Levin. You see me on a television show like Sean Hannity's show or Chris Cuomo's show, Cuomo on News Nation. You see all of these things, and you hear me talking about politics. I've never considered it political talk. I consider it social commentary. When we're talking about the economy, when we're talking about healthcare, education.
What is the difference? Political talk and social commentary. People hate using the word political because it reminds them of the Democrats and the Republicans. But that's not just what politics is. Politics is basically speaking about everyday life. It's social commentary. That's what politics is. It's just stupid.
Education, immigration, safety in the streets. I consider those to be life-altering issues that every American citizen consider it social commentary. When we're talking about the economy, when we're talking about healthcare, education, immigration, safety in the streets, I consider those to be life-altering issues that every American citizen has the right to feel passionate about, have fervor about, and express themselves about. So I simply looked at myself as doing my civic duty and speaking on these issues. And then
but everybody should speak about politics. They say not to speak about politics, religion, and how much you make, right? That's nonsense. Those are probably the things you need to speak about the most, because politics is your everyday life. Religion is whatever you believe, and that's part of your everyday life. And then what you get paid, your boss doesn't want coworkers talk about how much they get paid because they're paying one person way more than another person, and this person they might be doing more work, but just because they don't have the gall to ask for a raise or they don't even know that they should get one sometimes or something. Like, bosses don't want you to talk about your pay because they want to be able to pay you what they want to pay you, rather than you guys knowing what each other are making and being able to, oh, well, I do more work than so-and-so, so I need more than that. Whatever, stuff like that. But like, we need to talk about the things they tell us not to talk about the most.
Oh, behold, some poll comes out. And the poll has me receiving 2% for the presidency of the United States of America. Tim Walz, former VP candidate for the Democratic Party under Kamala Harris, he got 3%. Josh Shapiro, governor for Pennsylvania, he's got some more percentage points. The only person that had double digits was Kamala Harris at 33%. Everybody else was single digits.
33% for Kamala Harris? Are you serious? You guys are going to put her back up? If you guys... Kamala will not win. Unless the Republicans try to find somebody worse than her on purpose, Kamala will not win.
Democratic nomination for the President of the United States of America. And your boy's in the mix. Let me say this.
Oh, he's already said that.
I am flattered. I do totally consider myself unworthy of such a thing. I do understand that while I have surface knowledge of current event issues and what's going on in the world or whatever, I certainly don't have intimate knowledge. I've never covered Capitol Hill in my life. Hell, I barely been on Capitol Hill.
And is that a disqualifier? And that part right there, he's never been on Capitol Hill. He's never covered Capitol Hill. Some people are asking for someone who does not have their foot in politics, someone who's not been a part of that DC swamp. Some people are asking for someone on the outside. This is why you keep hearing people mention someone like Jon Stewart, for example. People are bringing up different people that they think maybe.
But just because they're on the outside of politics doesn't mean they're on the outside of the mainstream. Stephen A. has been groomed by ESPN for 20, 25, 30 years. He's exactly what the establishment wants.
Be able to come in and shake the Democratic Party up. However, I do want to remind everyone that the President of the United States is also responsible for foreign policy. And you guys know how I feel about foreign policy. So my whole thing is, again, one of the things he admitted in another show was that he's not knowledgeable about what's really happening in Gaza. Okay, that's going to be a problem.
How aren't you knowledgeable about what's happening in Gaza?
You know, just stuff like that. Because the President of the United States is also the commander in chief.
To not know what's happening in Gaza, you have to be doing that on purpose. Like, it's not hard to find out what's going on in Gaza, and he has all the resources in the world. Maybe not all the resources in the world, but he has enough money to where if he wants to know about something, he can find out about it. He got the time, the money, and obviously not the effort.
You are over the military operations, and that's important. You do need to know these things. And I don't know, I felt like when he was going on this podcast tour to talk about politics and what the Democratic Party should do, I really did feel like, watch, they're going to ask him to run for something. I really did feel that was coming. And why would they ask him? Well, he's not a leftist. He's not a progressive.
Not at all.
He's not a socialist. He's not a Marxist. But he's also not a conservative.
I think
he's a registered independent. So he agrees with the Democratic Party on the social issues. This is what he has said, by the way. He agrees with the Democratic Party on the social issues like racial justice, et cetera. But he agrees with the Republican Party on a lot of the economic issues, right? Like he said he's a capitalist. Like he believes in free market capitalism, and he doesn't like high taxes, those types of things. But someone mentioned this in the chat, and I think this was a great thing that you brought up here, Miss Texas G. If Stephen A. Smith is an independent, why is he worried about how to better the Democratic Party? That part. Because this is the problem I take a lot of times when people say that they're independent. Hell, Roland Martin says he's an independent, but he tap dances for the Democratic Party, was literally standing next to Hillary Clinton asking her, do you know how to wobble? Do you know how to wobble? Let me teach you how to wobble.
Give some hot sauce.
Like this. You do like that. So we have to be wary of this. I'm an independent, but I'm trying to help the Democratic Party. Are you truly an independent? Just say you're a Democrat.
Right.
Just say that. But he's seriously considering it. He's seriously considering it, but he does have requirements.
So I don't think it's deserved, but I will say this. It did give me cause to pause.
Of course.
And to think about something.
What did he say?
Did y'all know that in order to be the president of the United States of America, cause to pause?
Of course.
Cause the pause.
He's seriously considering it, but he does have requirements.
So I don't think it's deserved, but I will say this. It did give me cause to pause.
Of course.
And to think about something. Did y'all know that in order to be the president of the United States of America, in terms of the criteria, all you had to do was meet three standards?
Be 35, be a U.S. citizen, and I'm not sure the third, to be honest. Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
Hands up criteria?
Yes.
You got to be a United States citizen, born in the United States of America.
I knew that.
You got to be at least 35 years of age.
Yeah, I knew that.
And you need to have lived in the United States for the last 14 years.
I was unaware
That's
of that.
it. And then I watch some of these people speak on these issues.
That's strange, because, like, what if you're in the military and you're stationed in anywhere that's not the United States? Does that count as living in the United States or no? Can you not be the president if you just served the military? Like, you were 33, say 30 to 33, you lived in Germany or Iraq or whatever. Or I guess when you're overseas, your residence here. I don't know. I wasn't in the military, so I don't know.
Forgive me. I kind of think I can do a better job.
Oh,
I
boy.
just do. I mean, in terms of articulating my positions, my thoughts, my passions, I mean, I think I can pull that off.
That is your job.
Now it's going to his head. Now it's getting because being president is more about articulating your thoughts. It's more about having passion in your voice. Like, you're literally commander in chief. And now it's going to his head, ladies and gentlemen. Now he's like, oh, I think I might be able to do this.
I'm just saying. Now, it just so happens that I live a pretty decent life.
Ooh.
I think y'all all know that my salary is a little bit more than the president actually makes. Along with congressional and Senate figures as well.
So you're overpaid.
So monetarily speaking, it's just not to my advantage to.
He does sound like Donald Trump talking about, well, I make way more than this. I don't even need this money. Is he going to say that you're going to work for $1 like Donald Trump? Is Donald Trump really working for $1?
Engage in politics on an official level because it would compromise my wallet.
Oh, no.
And I care about my wallet.
He is a capitalist.
So you heard that part, right? He cares about his wallet. So this would be an issue for him. A couple of problems I think Stephen A. Smith would run into if he's serious about this. And please.
I think we all care about our wallet, but just the way he said it, just the way he's acting, that's a little bit different.
Please answer that poll in the live chat for me. I'm curious to see what you have to say. Is that number one of the criticism I think that Stephen A. Smith is going to receive is that he is single. Cory Booker received the same criticism. Again, I didn't make up these rules, not to say that you have to be married to be president of the United States, but I think some people would hold that against him and they would say, well, you're single, but you date people. Are you going to be dating as the president? And how is that going to work out? That's one thing that I think is going to.
Well, I mean, you could either not date or you could just date more high-powered people if you want to keep it like on the level, like what do you call it, movie stars and whatnot, and a lot of athletes do. You know, they're always dating more high-powered people. And he's already a rich dude, like you said. He'd be taking a step down money-wise, so like his power obviously would go up. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think the president. It should matter too much if they're single or not. Obviously, she said she didn't make the rules. I don't either. So, just my thoughts.
To be an issue. The other problem is ESPN, because the reality is Stephen A. Smith loves sports. He's been a sports commentator for years. And that means that he would have to leave all of that behind, right? He'd have to walk away from that completely to be president of the United States, right? But he's seriously thinking about it. But he has demands. He has demands. Huh? Let me show you what those demands are. And I hope you guys are ready to laugh. This is hilarious.
Fun times.
ESPN host Stephen A. Smith says he would be U.S. president as long as he doesn't have to campaign.
What does that even mean? I would be U.S. president as long as I don't have to campaign. Are we going to do a vote or are you just going to be president? Like, that's odd to say.
What?
That's just kind of
like I have never heard anything like this before.
But and then he's on TV 5 hours, 10 hours a day, a lot of time. All he would have to do is look at the camera every now and then and be like, I'm running for president. And then just keep talking about his sports. Remember, I'm running for president. And then keep talking about his sports. Like, you don't even have to do nothing to campaign. You don't even have to do nothing to campaign except for just tell people that you're running for president. You're already campaigning. You're just campaigning for sports stuff. But, I mean, dude, you're already out there. What does that even mean?
Do it as long as he doesn't have to campaign. ESPN personality Stephen A. Smith told CNBC Sports that he is not interested in campaigning, would be interested in being president.
Said he thinks he would do. So the First Take host said he thinks he would do well in a presidential debate. I mean, he does run a debate show or is on a debate show for the past 15, 20 years or longer, or at least 15, I would think. But if you think you would do well in a debate, why don't you want to campaign? And if you're already on TV all day, you don't have to go nowhere to campaign. Like, I was kind of thinking maybe he didn't want to debate, but it's strange.
I was saying.
She She finds it funny, so I find it strange.
I'm telling you, we got to crack up on this show, man. This is too much. The First Take host said he thinks he would do well in a presidential debate. In a recent poll, 2% of voters said they would vote for Smith. I'm curious to see how the poll is going on this show. We'll get to the poll at the end so more people get a chance to answer. I'm curious to see how it is going. But Stephen A. Smith here said he would do it as long as he does not have to campaign. I wouldn't mind being in office. Yet the popular television host said it is the campaigning and being a politician that turns him off. I'm not one of those dudes that's great at shaking hands and kissing babies, per se, and currying favor with politicians and donors. I'm not a beggar. That's not who I am. So,
how'd you move it up the ladder to ESPN? You don't necessarily beg, but you got to curry favor with. It's political, right? Every job is political. Every sport is political. Like, it's very rarely a total meritocracy anywhere. You probably kiss somebody's butt somewhere.
You heard it here first, folks. Stephen A. Smith says he is open to being president of the United States, but he does not want to campaign. He wants to run on his name. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say at this point. I really do think the Democratic Party is desperate.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, guys.
Desperate and dead, hopefully. So, I mean, you guys want Jon Stewart or Stephen A. Smith or some other rich guy to come in and be the leader? That's not a people's party. If you're a people person, if you're a regular old person, you need to come to the Green Party. We need people to power a people-powered party. Or we're just going to be getting ran by Jon Stewart or Stephen A. Smith or Donald Trump or Ronald Reagan or the governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or somebody who got money is going to step in and start taking over again. So, I mean, it's us or them, man. Like, don't talk about it, be about it. And keep getting your news from across the spectrum.